Lady State. I'm coaching the basketball team, so I've been coaching and training my whole life. And apart from doing the actual work of coaching and training an athlete or individual, my personal mission has always been to help them facilitate their life and grow mentally as well as physically, but also spiritually and mentally. Emotionally, to help them just to become the better version of themselves. And I pride myself on that. You know, I started my own training company. This is one of my old hoodies that I used to wear, but it kind of symbolizes what I'm all about. You know, I train in the name of Jesus, and so I came today just to kind of share with you guys, because I've been in your spot before. You know, I've been a college student trying to juggle, you know, finding yourself in life, juggling athletics, juggling your faith, trying to figure out what it is in this world and what we're supposed to be doing in this world as Christians, as believers. And so I really just want to come and encourage you guys. You know, I know me and Mr. Kevin here, who I need to thank, by the way, thank you for bringing me in. One of the things we talked about was your worldview. So I know you guys have been talking about worldviews a lot. And I also was in that same spot of struggling with my worldview, right? Understanding kind of some of the things that I went through, and I wrote them down. So bear with me here. Some of the things that I went through when I was y'all's age, you know, trying to understand some things like respecting the Sabbath, right? That was a worldview that I had a lot of questions about, trying to figure it out. Is it Saturday or Sunday or when it is and what I'm supposed to do and how did that affect if we have a game or something like that. So I'm trying to honor God, but at the same time, you know, we have a life and responsibilities that we have to do here as well. So I struggled with figuring that out as well. You know, something else was kind of understanding like your temple, you know, and what that really means as far as, you know, loving yourself, loving your temple, right? I went through a time period where I went through an obsession period about getting tattoos and stuff, and so, you know, I didn't know if that was right or wrong. You know, I thought it was my temple, and I still honor God, but this is how I'm trying to honor Him, and the other people were telling me something different. So I went through that struggle as well, right? I went through the struggle of understanding, you know, the love of money versus the root of all evil, and why I was taught as a youngster, like, these two things are coherent, right? So I've always had a worldview of, oh, if you have too much money, right, you must be evil, right? And I know that that's kind of a misconception kind of thing, and so I struggle with that, or had to wrestle around with that. And so I share all that stuff just to let you guys know, like, you're not alone, right? You're not alone in the questions you might have, and the thoughts that we might have, but there's a lot of things that are on the other side of that coin as well. And that's kind of what I want to share with you today. So the first thing I want you guys to do, I just want to take a brief second, because I want you guys to really, like, imagine if I had, like, Magic Genie, and I can give you guys, like, you can have the life of your dreams, right? Everything you want in success, while also still being able to live a Christ-centered philosophy, right? Like, what would that life look like for you? Like,
you want to answer or just think about it?
No, I want you to think about it right now. Just take a second, think about what that life would be like for you. Like, not just basic success, like real talk, like heaven on earth. Think about what that really would be like for you. How would that make you feel? How would you wake up every day? Right? All right, now, show of hands, how many of y'all would love that life? Right, everybody's saying it should go up, right? Like, you know, everybody would love that life, okay? What if I told you, like, you could really have that life? Would you believe it? You could have that life. Would you believe it? It's okay, like, I understand. Again, I was in that kind of spot before, right? I was showed, like, hey, this is the life that you could have if you would just believe, and you'd be like, man, that's all I gotta do is believe, right? But in all honesty, it really is just that. And that's one of the hardest things to do, but it's one of the easiest things to commit to once you do And that's a worldview. Like one of my favorite verses, I'm sure we've all heard of this, is John 10:10, right? Where the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy, right? And I'm sure we've all been told that. Watch out for the enemy. Watch out for the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Right? But there's another side to that verse as well. And the other side of that verse goes, but I have come so that you may have life and have it more abundantly. It's like, do we understand what that word means? Abundantly, not just halfway, not just enough to get by, but abundantly. That's a philosophy that I think that a lot of us miss the boat on. Myself included. Like, I'm being real. It took me 29 years to really understand what that meant, right? Because I was in a spot where I was so conflicted with trying to be in the world and trying to love God and trying to please other people and trying to, make a living, right? And I didn't really understand, like, the Lord Jesus Christ, like, he came to die for your sins so that you can have life more abundantly. You can have heaven on earth. Like, that's why he's here. So a lot of times, a lot of us, like, we live in internal battle, right? We live in internal battle, struggling with these questions, these ideas, these things that we want to ask. What's right, what's wrong, like what's religion versus a relationship with God, which one is more important? Like, these are questions that I had. I'm sure y'all have the same or different questions, right? And some of us even battle with the external stuff, home life, financial situations, right? May not be the best. Some of us, we might battle with both, right? But the thing about it is, like, it's not your fault, okay? But what is your complete responsibility from this moment forward that I really challenge you to do is take your spiritual journey to the next level and adapt a worldview that's going to give you success and also that's going to help you to get closer to God and to find his truths and believe in his teachings, right? And to love yourself as he loves you, right? And to carry his light out into the world, because that's what he really wants for you. He desires that for you. And so I want to kind of just share some things with you, right? I believe for me, it starts with a culture, right? What is the culture that you live in? What is the culture that you create? And what is the culture that you share, right? So I want to break this down for you because I brought in my worldview when I experienced a new culture again for the first time. And what I mean by that is when I experienced Christ's culture for real and I moved from principles and policies and rules, right, that were taught to me in the Bible, and I started moving into practices and customs, right, that's what ultimately helped me to get to a new level, a level of abundance, of prosperity, of being able to walk in miracle territories, right? To be able to receive blessing after blessing, right? To be able to receive, like, just some of the most randomest things, and I'll be very transparent with you, right? Out of random, just a month ago, out of random, right? I just went to the gas station one day, I was just getting gas, and I had like $2 in my pocket, and I was like, and my brother Malcolm could tell you, I don't believe in gambling and all that stuff, but just that day, I was already told, I had a prayer, I was in a kind of rough situation, and I was like, God, you're gonna give me a financial breakthrough today. Like, I know one's coming. I was like, I believe that, right? It's like, you told me life more abundantly, and I need abundance right now. And I remember going to the gas station, my last $2 I had to my name. And I was like, you know what, I don't ever play, just give me something, whatever I can get for this. And the lady was like, all right, here. She gave it to me, just scratched it off, thinking in my mind, like, see what happens. And lo and behold, I hit $5,000, $2, $5,000. And it just so happened that what I needed that money for, I got that exact amount. That exact amount. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't believe in coincidence. I just don't. So I knew at that moment in time, I was like, life more abundantly. Like, but you gotta believe it, you know what I mean? So I can tell you as a witness, when I changed from living principles and started living in practices, I changed. My character changed. How I viewed the world changed. How I viewed humanity changed, right? How I read the Bible, it changed. And I stopped just reading the Bible and I started to try to live in the Bible. I started making it personal to me, and I'm gonna show you some of those things. So, kind of want to talk about, like I said, culture. So, culture is defined as a custom, a practice, or art, or achievements, right, of a particular people, social group, or nations, right? And this is the part I love right here. It's the ability to maintain conditions suitable for growth, right? For growth. Like that's what I'm talking about, your environment. Your environment. When you're a part of a culture, you create direction, discipline, purpose, pathways, accountability, and awareness higher than yourself, right? So all of us are on a team, most of us are on a team. When you're on a team, right, you got a team culture, right? And everybody, when they buy into it, everybody in that culture gets better, right? Like, you ladies who play basketball, and you guys have a culture. Everybody follows suit to that culture. When you follow suit to that culture, everybody gets better. I know us, we're building the culture, right? But when you do your own thing, you try to stray away, right? You can diminish your own culture and hold yourself back. And as we fall into that a lot, where we have this book of teachings, we have this philosophy, we have this framework, and then we'll stray away from it. For whatever reason, everybody's reason is different, but we'll stray away from it, and it'll stop our growth. You stop maintaining conditions suitable for growth, right? So, when you're in God's culture, though, as we all are, as believers, okay, the best thing about it is He gives us those frameworks. And contrary to majority belief, you're not asked to pick up your cross and carry it alone, right? All you have to do is contribute to His culture. And all that means, what I mean by that is, once you pick it up, as a good neighbor is to another good neighbor, I'm to help you, just like you were to help me, right? As Christians, we are to help each other, correct? Right?
Yes.
Right. So if you are picking up your cross, I'm there to help you pick up your cross. You know, you're not carrying it alone. Right? A lot of times, and this is something I was taught kind of young, you got to pick up your cross and carry it, right? No, you don't. You pick up your cross, but we help each other carry it. That is one of my favorite scriptures that's in the Bible. You know, there was one set of footsteps, not two. As you know, God is carrying. I haven't the story fully, but the principle of it is, He will carry you through your storm, right? He will carry you. We will carry each other through each other's storms. You just have to be a part of the culture. And we all are part of the culture, and I'm gonna show you why. So, experiencing God's culture, this is where it gets good. These are some of my favorite verses, and this is some of the things, like, you can experience God's culture with these things. So Jeremiah 29:11, you know, for I know the plans I have for you, right? Plans to prosper you with hope and a better future. And this one rings very true to me, because I used to have to say to myself every single day when I went through, you know, my trials, my tribulations, you know, and one day anybody on a side note, you know, you want me to share my testimony with you, I'll be glad to, but I had to read that verse every day. I was just like, me? You like me? You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, wow. He has plans for me to prosper me with hope in a better future. Like, and that's one of his principles. That's a promise. Like, there's 6,000 some promises in the Bible, and all of them are yea and amen. And if you believe them, then you can have them. And that's what it's like being a part of his culture, right? Deuteronomy 28 and 13 is like, I will make you the head and not the tail. I'm sure we've all been told that, right? I'll make you the head, not the tail. You're supposed to be above, not below. Right? You be lenders, not borrowers. Right? So a lot of times, we know we can quote those scriptures, but are we practicing in those scriptures? Are we living those scriptures as customs? Okay? You know, like 2 Corinthians 9 and 8 says God will make every grace overflow to you so that you have everything that you need and do for all your works. Sorry. Meaning, like, he will give you everything that you need to be successful in everything you do. I guess that's powerful right there. You know, he will give you everything you need, grace overflow, so that you can be good at everything you do. Everything you do, right? And then my favorite one, another favorite of mine, 2 Timothy 1:7, for he's not giving us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power. And it goes on to say love and a sound mind, or sound judgment. But a lot of people in this world, they get stuck right here. Right? They get stuck in fear. Right? So anytime that you guys just decide, anytime you get afraid, anytime you get bothered, you have doubts or anxieties, right? Because I've been there too. Go refer back to this. This is a practice. This is a practice. You have to practice this. This is a custom, right? This is a principle, it's a framework. This is a philosophy. You have a spirit of power. Of power, meaning you can do things and create things along with God's help that other people don't have access to, because you have the spirit. He gives you a spirit of power. And that's much needed in this world today. Right? So I want to give you guys 3 quick things. Okay? 3 quick things on how you can apply God's culture to your worldview. All right? And then 1, it starts with your habits. Right? Habits, if you refer back to the Bible, like the greats, the giants, the people that had favor with God, they all display some of the same habits. Right? David worshiped God and was a man after his own heart. He was favored. And that's why one of the reasons I believe he was favored. Right? Daniel, he prayed 3 times a day as it was his custom, as it was his culture. So no matter what was going on in his life, he prayed 3 times a day, whether he was in the lion's den, whether it wasn't, wherever he was, he prayed 3 times a day as it was his custom. Right? That's something that you guys should adopt, right? Jesus, he rose while the dew was still on the roses, and he had devotion. He had prayer. Right? He spent time with God early in the morning while the world was still silent. Right? Enoch, he walked and talked with God every day till he was no more. Like these are habits that build conceptions and beliefs on how you can live in this world with things like prayer and devotion, talking to God every day, having that personal relationship with him, right? Being faithful to him, right? Being trustworthy, right? We talk about going back to having abundance and prosperity and blessings. If you're not trustworthy with the little he gives you and the little responsibility that he might give you right now, then you can't expect to have the great stuff, life, abundance, right? So if you're trustworthy though, in the beginning, you'll be trustworthy in the end. It doesn't mean that you're not gonna fall. Please don't get me confused. You're going to fall. We are all shaped in iniquity. But if you practice in these habits daily, you will ultimately get to permanent. You will ultimately get to a permanent habit of doing these little things, being like those greats. And I gotta tell you, like, I'm a witness. When I started to wake up 3 a.m. to have prayer, to have worship, to have some devotion, read my Bible, my life just started turning around. My life just started getting better. Things just started coming my way. Right? When I took the time to like fast, and fast is not always physical. Right? Fast from music, fast from the phone. Now, that's a hard one for y'all, but fasting from the phone, right? Get off social media for 2 or 3 hours, 2 or 3 days. You know what I'm saying? I know it's hard. Fast from the TV. I went 3 months, I just didn't have internet in my house. I know that sounds ridiculous to you guys, but a whole month or 3 months, just no internet, no TV. You know, I come home from work, wherever I was, and that was my quiet space then. But it helped me get my mind right. And once this gets right, everything else will follow. Right? A lot of us, we suffer from the same temptations that were in the beginning of the world. Right? Everybody knows the story of Adam and Eve, right? And they were in the garden of what? Eden, right? And in that garden they had what? They had abundance, right? They had all the fruit, all the food they could want, right? But there's a little known thing that the one thing they had ultimately became, the one thing they did not have, they could not have, became a downfall. It's that temptation of lack that gets a lot of people stuck. Right? Humans, we're the only species on this earth that don't live at maximum growth. Like, think about it. A tree, it grows as high as possible. It digs its roots in the ground as deep as possible as it can, and it grows as high as possible. It produces the most fruit as possible. Right? And sure, as humans, physically, we will grow to our maximum. We can't control that. The things we can control is our mind, our mental capacity, our mental growth, right? Our spiritual growth, our emotional growth, our emotional intelligence. A lot of us don't do that. We settle for less. We settle for mediocrity when that's not how it's supposed to be planned for us. And that only becomes because we don't practice in his customs. We don't daily practice in our customs. A lot of people, myself included, when I was growing up, it was, I knew the Bible, I did church once a week. The other 6 days out of the week, I was in school and I had football and I had basketball and I had track and I had to go spend time with my friends and my family. And they may not be on the same thing I was on. Their tracks were not created equally running right next to mine. There's divvy off somewhere else. So I say that to say to you, like, when you do this, when you practice in these daily customs, it will expand your success. It will expand your success and give you the conceptions of how to view this world through God's culture and make decisions. And this is very important at your age, because how you're about to start making decisions for your life will shape the rest of your life. I was told something that stuck with me forever. What you do in your 20s will always show in your 30s. What you do in your 30s will always show in your 40s, and so on and so forth. So with you guys being in college, getting ready to start your life, your decision-making skills are so important, drastically important. And so my question would be, how are you gonna make these decisions? Through what lens will you start making these decisions? Will you make it from the lens of John 10:10? Will you make it from the lens of Jeremiah 29:11? These are things that are important, all right? So remember, your habits create your actions. And it leads into this one, which is your action must be committed. Okay? Does anybody know what the 7 fruits of the Spirit is or are? Yeah, please tell me. Put you on the spot.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control.
Absolutely. Show of hands. How many of us are committed to those?
What you mean? Do we try to?
Commitment means you're immersed. That means 100% all in into intentional actions and behaviors. Show of hands, how many of us are committed? How many of us want to be committed? Right, all of us. All of us. And it's not, again, we all make mistakes, but it's the act and the behavior that create the beliefs and the framework for your success. You feel me? If you act in the fruits of the labor, you will start to behave in the fruits of the labor. And when you start to behave in the fruits of the labor, you will believe that the fruits of the labor is your framework for your success. And it's the same with the attitudes of a champion. Okay, so I'm gonna give you what I call the 7 C's of the attitudes for a champion. Okay, and it's like courage, confidence, which is self-belief, believing that you are enough, believing that you are a part of God's culture, and believing that you are powerful, abundant, prosperous, right? That you are walking. It's those things: self-belief, confidence, right? It's the commitment to your health, being healthy, not feeding your mind, your body, your spirit, your emotions junk, right? That's the music you're listening to. That's a health choice. Because what you hear here all day long is going to eventually start to manifest itself outward, right? It's your competitiveness, right? Meaning, are you trying to get better than you were yesterday? Are you trying to continue to push forward, right? We are not to be complacent, but we are to be content. Content means I'm good where I'm at, but I'm always going to continue to reach. I'm always trying to reach for more. I'm always trying to get closer, right? I'm always trying to find the next thing that God wants me to get. How can I get closer to Him? How can I be like Him? How can I keep striving for His glory? How can I bring His name honor? Right? That's competitiveness in this sense, right? It's consistency. How consistent are you being? Are you immersed in intentional actions every day? Right? Your habits. Are you connecting? Are you sharing your story with somebody else? Are you bringing other people to the Lord? That's a commandment that we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to just keep the good news to ourselves. We're supposed to go out in the world and share it. So each of us are required. It's a responsibility. Are you connecting with people? Are you being the light out there to those who may not know the Lord? Right? Each of you, again, you're a part of a team. And I would say, if you're here, your goal for next time is to try to add one person from your team to come here. I would show if you're immersed in intentional actions, right? So these are the commitments that you can apply to your life today, that you can apply in your philosophy, in your worldview, that will help you navigate this crazy world that we live in, right? have success. Not just basic success, not just getting by. I don't know, none of y'all in here just want to get by. I'm sure each of you guys want to have a very successful life. A very successful life. You make a lot of money, you have a nice house, you drive a nice car, right? Am I wrong? Does y'all want to just live in a box? No, I didn't think so. We all want to live an abundant life. And his teachings, his frameworks, the Bible, it's already showed you what to do, how to live, how to commit yourself. You got to get in there and you got to live the practices over the principles. Principles can be interpreted by the eyes that are reading them. But a practice is a practice. I can tell you guys all, as a basketball coach, my principle is I'm gonna run you and run you and run you every mistake you make, right? But, and Justin knows, but the practice of what we do every single day won't look like that. That's just a principle, right? I use that principle to hold you accountable, but our practices aren't really shaped in that framework. Does that make sense? And then the last one is declarations and values. Sorry, sometimes there. But it's declaring your victories, right? Declaring your victories, your values, and your truths, you know, as God declares them over you from being a part of his culture. Right? There's declarations, or what I like to call statements of being. You should tell yourself every day, to help, one, inspire you and motivate you, right? But also to help you to understand what his culture likes. Again, there's 6,000 promises in the Bible, and all of them are for you. They're meant for you. God desires for you to have them. He says that his yoke is easy, meaning if you let him carry your burdens, you let him do all the work, your troubles, getting through your troubles will be easy. He will prepare a table in front of your enemies. All these things are declarations you should be telling yourself. I am more than a conqueror. Right? I can do all things. Right? I have a mind of power. Right? I am the head, not the tail. These are you just tell yourself these every single day. Eventually they become truths. Whether you believe them or not. If you tell yourself something enough times, eventually it's going to become the truth. That's just how the mind works. Because the mind does not ever want to be wrong. It doesn't. So if you tell yourself, you know what, I'm gonna lose these 10 pounds, or I'm gonna pass, I'm gonna make president's list next semester. And you tell yourself that every single day, your mind will find a way to then make your reality hold true, because it doesn't like to be wrong. We are creators, because we are birthed in the image of God. So that's a declaration you should tell yourself every day. I'm a creator. You can create your own life. You can create the life that you want to have, because you're created in the image of the highest, of the Father. He said it. Let's create man in the image of. I gotta get in y'all's word, man. We gotta get in our word. He said, let's create man in the image of us. He's talking about let's create man in the image of God. If you're an image of him, you therefore have the ability to create. It just depends on what you want to create. You tell yourself, hey, I'm just going to be a B student my whole life. That's what you're declaring. and then you'll live a B student life. That's your values. Those will be your victories. But if you tell yourself, I want it all, I deserve it all, I'm promised it all, that's what I'm declaring. And now, those are my victories. And that's what I value. When you start to practice these over and over and over again, and it becomes a habit, then you commit to it, it becomes actions, it becomes behaviors. Eventually those behaviors, they'll become permanent results that will then mirror the life that you created for yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah. Well, that's all I had to share. I appreciate you guys coming and letting me speak to you guys. And I really hope that you take this to heart. Apply it. Try it for the next 30 days. I promise you'll have the same experience that I had, where your life just starts to move in ways that most people dream of. You'll be able to live like a 1%er and not feel like you had to compromise your love for Jesus, your love for God to do it. Make sense? All right, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.